Hello everybody and welcome back to Tlatoani, where we are currently working on getting this temple built, and that is slowly making progress. We're also working on developing, well actually, this common home is not developed. Huh. It has everything that it needs. These two aren't either, but yeah, that should develop eventually. So we're up to large cottages over here. That's great. Needs access to more civil service. Consider building a collector nearby. There's a collector right here. The staff cannot be expected to work in such an unsightly neighborhood. Okay, so that's the issue there. So what we need to do is we need to get some decor going over here. So in that case, we should get a couple of fruit gardens over here perhaps. That'll help. But I wonder how much we actually need over here. Stone roads might be the way to go on that. Maybe. Okay, so we've now got the fruit gardens here. Staff still cannot be expected to work in such an unsightly neighborhood. Okay. So it let us build it here, but I'm wondering if it was maybe the porter yard that ended up breaking it. Ah, now our staff are resting at the moment. So the fruit gardens did the trick. And now they're assessing tax. So out over here, we should start seeing the civil service collecting these taxes. Now this one, we maybe could have an additional civil service up over this way. So to that end, we can put a collector here. We're not getting a notification about lack of beauty, but a collector up here should, I think, alleviate some of the strain of this collector. But there's also this one down here, so that should be reasonably fine for now. Okay, so that should all get done fairly easily. Then the real question is, how long is it going to take for us to finish building this temple? Well, actually, I don't think it's going to take all that long. I think we're making solid progress on it. We're constantly working, so that looks great. As far as our food situation goes, how do we feel like that's going? I feel like we could use additional food income, although this farm down here is only just coming online. So this farm may do enough there. Alternatively, we may want to get an additional hunter lodge. We need weapons to fight at full strength. I don't think we have the capacity to make our own weapons at this time. Yeah, pretty sure we don't. So that's understood. Okay, we successfully sent our levies, and we failed to send our required yearly tribute to Sheltacon. So that would be the maize. We need to provide maize to Sheltacon, and this field down here is entirely maize. It is nothing but maize. So that looks good for now, although I'm thinking about maybe putting in another farmer's hut down here to produce additional maize. So we'd want that to be in range of a porter's hut, ideally. We could do it here. We could do it here. And then this would be exclusively maize out over here. So I'm thinking something like that would be 8. That would be 16. And then if we wanted it to be like this, it would be, that would be 31. Well, that's awkward. That's very awkward. We could put it over here, actually. Clean that up a little bit. So then I'm thinking we can just run a canal like that. Huh? That'll reach at least a good chunk of that. And then I'd like to build a road. Well, I just want to think about how I want to do this. A temporary road might work. So we could build a temporary road that would come down like this. And then it would awkwardly cross over here. And then go through here. Because I don't necessarily want to take out any of these trees for a temporary road that end up not being necessary. Right? And then we can just build the road like that. That road might get destroyed later on. And then the idea would be that it would connect over here and also over here for now. Okay, we might come back to those roads a little later on. So there's not really any porterhouses down this way, right? And that might cause us a problem in getting these canals. That's understood. And this structure is impossible to reach, so we'll get rid of that. All we need to do is get down to this lake. So that'll be okay. This is going to boost up our irrigation over here, although this is not going to boost our irrigation everywhere here. But a canal going this way in the position where this road is, which actually I'm going to take that out. A canal going that way would do the trick. So then a canal out here. And then for now, we'll have it just connect in over like that. Although I don't actually want it to do that long term. So what if instead we ran the canal just straight on down like this and also took that out into the lake? So that means that this entire area here will be irrigated, and this entire area here would be irrigated as well. This area would be partially irrigated. Not fully irrigated, but it would be partially irrigated. So we'll let that go for a while. We're, of course, working away on our temple, and we can see that that's now roughly 3/4 done. So that's looking good for the moment. Now, our finances are looking great. I'm not concerned about that right now. Overall, I think our resource income is solid, other than perhaps foodstuffs. I think additional foodstuffs are definitely required here. So these porter yards down here, we should definitely be accepting maize, fruit, and chili, although we can't accept fruit and chili down here. Maybe we can here. Fruit, chili, maize. Yes. And then this will be accepting maize, fruit, and chili for transport to other storage venues. So these are going to be down here doing that. And then this porter yard here would also be set to accept maize, fruit, and chili. And then that would ideally distribute it to the granary, and then from the granary it can get, in theory, to some other locations. We'll see if it actually ends up doing that. Okay, so that looks good for now. These porter yards will be able to move a fair amount of that around. Excellent. So we're definitely seeing some progress getting made down here. Eventually they'll get this all, but that will take a little bit. Okay, so yeah, this is definitely going to take some time. That's not a problem at this moment. So we can put in another farm right out over here, and I'm wondering, can we connect a farm directly to a bridge? That's showing up as blocked right now. So as a hypothetical, if we were to put a bridge here, right? And then we put in a farmer's hut right here. That looks like that's not, in fact, connecting to that bridge. Okay. Good to know. So that's absolutely understood. It's not ideal. That would make designing this a lot easier. No doubt about that. But as it is, I think it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. We'll just have to be a little bit awkward with it. No problem. So things are looking reasonably fine down this direction. Of course, we need clay and timber in order to construct these canals. But we're mostly working on getting the road built at this moment, and that's absolutely fine for right now. So we can build another farmhouse here and farm this area and have this be at least half irrigated. That's definitely a thing that we can do. But for the moment, what I really want to do is I want to just get this farmer hut online and get these canals dug. So for now, that will do. We could try to irrigate this up over here, but honestly, I don't think there's a huge amount of reason to do that. Okay, so we have 164 commoners and only 160 jobs. So we should probably consider getting some additional jobs going. What services might we need? These guys have everything that they need for the moment. Gardens or prettier buildings out over this direction. Same out over here. And this needs access to more healthcare and more diversion. So we've got an herbalist over here, but we do need herbs to operate smoothly. Now, where do we get herbs? I don't think we can get herbs right now. We don't have any sort of an herb garden. So that's a little awkward. However, I did see diversion down over here. So let's go ahead and put in an alcove, perhaps over this way. We could cram one in right here. Do it. So that looks good. An alcove can definitely go in there. We're now lacking some people working down in this farmer's hut. That's absolutely understood. And we can see we're making very solid progress on getting these canals dug. So that's looking great. Of course, we're just getting them started right now. We're not actually working on the canals yet. We will get there. Okay, so everything is looking pretty good. We're actually getting some progress down here, which is well out of reach of this porter yard, by the way. So that means that they're actually coming down here and working on this. That's good. Very glad to see that. The alcove up over here is still under construction. We are waiting for, what is that? Artwork? Yes, we're waiting on some artwork there. Where's our mason yard at? I know we have one. Let's see here. That's a porter yard. Here's our mason yard. So our staff are currently out making repairs. We do need to produce more artwork, but we do have a decent amount of artwork coming through. So I'm not terribly concerned about that right now. And we can see our temple is definitely starting to come together. It's now probably about 80% done. We're working on it, but all of this down here is slowly being worked on as well. Wow, all of these trees grew all at once. Okay. So that's definitely noted. We're definitely making some progress with the irrigations here. So that looks good. These people are moving more slowly out here, aren't they? With this flooded. I think that they are moving more slowly than they normally would. Like if we look at the speed that these guys are moving at, and then we look at these. Yeah, they're definitely moving more slowly. So that's good to know. Wading around in the water is indeed slower. Eventually this alcove will find a flautist, but not yet. Okay, so our temple here, it still requires 41 stone and 130 artwork. I think that our artwork output is probably our main issue right now. I'm thinking about building another mason yard, but this consumes stone. So I want to be clear that that's a potential problem. We can put it in here. Yes, that should... Okay, so let's go ahead and get this mason yard going. That'll be a couple of additional employees, but more importantly, we'll produce some additional artwork. We can see we still need 130 artwork for our temple, and I definitely think that's our primary lack at this moment. So that looks good. As far as all of this goes, these fields are not considered irrigated yet. I think we need to build all the way down to the water over here so that the water flows through the canals. We'll get there. Okay, so this mason yard is now ready for staff. That looks good. We're at 165 out of 165 here, so that looks good. Our employment demands are currently being met. We can see that these are now a fancy cottage, and the residents have no complaints. This one's still a large cottage, but this one's a fancy cottage. Okay, we're definitely seeing some home upgrades going on here. Small house, fancy cottage, small house. Okay, so these want more diversion. That said, this alcove will provide a little bit more diversion, but I'm wondering if we can maybe get a sauna up over here. There's a tree here. Yeah, that terrain is considered blocked. We could maybe put one in over this way, and that can reach most of that area. We can't reclaim this swampland at this time. We don't have the, I guess we could say, the technology for it. This isn't a good spot for it. We've got one right here. So I'm thinking we put this guy in here. It'll reach at least the majority of these. And then we could maybe consider a sauna like up over here to reach all of these up over this direction. And then yet another sauna out over this direction to reach everything out over here. So something like that would be what I'm thinking right now. So we can see that this mason yard now has staff. They're out inspecting buildings. Keep in mind, they don't just make artwork. They also go around and make repairs to our existing buildings. So that seems fine. Are canals flooded now? Apparently not. They sure look like they should be to me, but okay. The lake is currently fairly flooded here. And yeah, that definitely looks to me like the canals should be flooded, but these are still under construction. This one here, I think the issue is that this piece of canal is under construction. So yeah, we'll give it a little bit. The canals are nearly ready to go. So that's looking good. No issue there. And this temple is progressing. It's just about done with its stone requirements. It only needs 16 additional stone, but it needs 130 more artwork. So that's definitely we need to do a lot of work on that. Our Imperial levies have been dispatched for service with Tlatoani. That's nice. And how are we doing on our maze at this point? 13 out of 120, but if we check this trading post, 62 out of 160 maze here. So that should be fine. I don't think there's an issue there. We should just provide the tribute, assuming our workers, you know, get around to doing it. That's the main question. I'm sure they'll get there eventually. This sauna needs timber to operate smoothly. That shouldn't be an issue. We should be moving timber around with no real problem here. So yeah, that should be okay. Ah, enemies are coming in. I figured that they would probably be coming pretty soon. So we can rally our troops like out over here. And let's go. So they're heading on over. The enemies will arrive within 1 month. So, I mean, that's going to be a little bit yet. But I kind of just want to group up here on the high ground. And see if that actually gives us like a combat bonus. I don't know that we're going to be able to tell if it does. But ideally, it would give us a combat bonus. I'm just thinking right now, we can't build directly out to the edge of the map, right? So, okay, here they come. Oh, they came from the opposite side. Well, that's awkward for us. It said they were going to come from the west, I thought. Maybe it said the east. But get on over here, guys. Okay, we're trucking. Excellent. So they're going to attack out over this direction, and they're immediately attacking. Oh my. Apparently we're dragging these guards along. But yeah, they immediately hit this trade caravan, which is, you know, definitely not ideal. Our troops are going to be arriving over here eventually. They're just kind of grouping up in formation here. Okay. This is a wee bit buggy. Okay. So we seem to have that relatively under control right now. We're just trying to group up our troops out over this direction, and they're right down over here. So that should be reasonably fine. And we see some of our people over here doing some fighting as well. So that looks okay for the moment. We should have this relatively under control. This is an herbalist. Okay, they're now attacking our sentry post out over here. Very rude of them. But they're not actually attacking our people. Now they're just running away. We didn't get a notification. Ah, there we go. There's a notification that it's been beaten back. Excellent. And we can disband these guys. Okay. So we're going to need to remove this herbalist here and put in another one. So that'll take a little bit of time to get that going. But we'll definitely get that underway. So that looks good for the moment. We've got the prestige, actually. Our levies have returned and brought us 1 captive. So I believe that we now have 3 of the 10 captives that we need to sacrifice. And our temple is slowly being worked on. Now all we need here is 123 artwork. Now you can see we're making huge amounts of axe monies at this point. I'm going to bump all of our wages up to 100%. And my question is, what's that going to do overall on our costs? I don't know. We'll keep an eye on that. But we're making large amounts of axe monies because we're importing lots less stone. So that looks good. Prestige is now 20 out of 30. Interesting. It was previously 20 out of 20. Well, that's good to know. Okay, so down over this direction, we can see that these canals are actually flooded now. So we do have some irrigation out over here. It only goes 3 tiles, so that's fine. So we can see that all of these are currently being irrigated. This is one too far over, isn't it? Because 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I thought that we would have one more here. So this is definitely a little awkward. We could think about moving all of these to instead be here. I don't know how much effort that's going to take for our porters. Probably a fair amount. Let's do that, and then we can start moving these maize fields, which, you know, could be problematic too. For the moment, I think it's okay. We can see we're still positive in our axe monies for now, so that's looking good. So we gave everybody a 5-fold raise, and we're still making large amounts of money for now. We will see if that continues to be something that happens. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. So we're definitely seeing some of this being moved. And actually, it's going reasonably quickly. So I think that's okay. No major issue there. So as these get moved, we're going to move these maize fields to be over here because we'll be able to irrigate all of them. So we can put a couple of maize fields over here instead, and that'll be absolutely fine. But we'll need to let the fields, or rather the canals, get moved first. That's going to take some time. But overall, things are going quite well for us. We can see that we now need 109 artworks for our temple. It's going to be a little bit before we get all of those artworks made. There's no doubt about that. So that looks good for the moment. Checking in on some of these locations out over here. Ambience. I mean, that's not surprising. More healthcare. We can't build a dentist. That's not a thing that we have access to. So yeah, they want better ambience over here. We could probably think about getting, at least in some of these core roads, we could think about upgrading to stone roads. So that would be, you know, something kind of like this. And then maybe taking that up over to here for now. Sure, just something kind of like that. That's definitely going to cost a little bit, but we can get it going. Should be okay. That'll boost the ambience in these regions by probably a pretty hefty margin, if I had to guess. And we can see that these canals are definitely moving pretty expeditiously? Something like that. Okay, I'm going to mark these for removal, since we apparently can't move fields. And we're going to put in maize fields down over here. But there's no house that can be attached to. We have to wait for these maize fields to be removed first. So that's understood. We'll get that going. Excellent. And with that, it is time to put a cut in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to continue to work on getting this temple built. I think we'll probably get it fully built next episode. That's the dream, anyway. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.